Well, hi everyone, this is Bob the Science Guy. Following the final experiment in Antarctica, where we demonstrated the 24-hour sun and performed a number of other globe-confirming and flat Earth disproving experiments, the flat Earth movement on YouTube is pretty much in disarray and in a state of collapse. Many of the prominent flat earthers are switching sides, going back over to the globe, based on the strength of the evidence gathered in Antarctica. However, there are still some remnants. And as a result of that, we have to ask ourselves, what's next for the flat Earth? Well, in order to answer that question, it's sometimes best to look at the origin story of the flat Earth movement. And that is what I'm going to do in this series of videos. I've always enjoyed these historical essay type things. It's something a little bit different for my channel, and I hope that you'll enjoy it as well. When early man emerged from the trees, he emerged into a flat Earth. His entire world consisted of how far he could walk or how far his eyes could see. He lived in the here and now, and the shape of the Earth was of little concern to him. The sun rose and the sun set, and at night the sky was alight with a multitude of stars. The Milky Way galaxy was clearly visible to the unaided eye. There was the moon, there were comets, there were meteors. For entertainment, he would look for patterns in the sky and make up stories about them. With time, he began to pay attention to things like the glow in the eastern sky that preceded the sunrise. He developed the concept of here versus over there. And he realized that some over there's in that direction were further away than over there's in that direction. So he began to develop a sense of direction, a sense of distance. Perhaps he developed some early sense of time by looking at how far he could walk between sunrise and when the sun was highest in the sky. And once the sun went down, how far he could walk before he couldn't see clearly any longer. Perhaps after generations of observation, he began to notice a link between time of day and the migration and the feeding of animals. And he found it advantageous to be able to determine in advance when those times were going to be, so that he would be in a proper position in order to take advantage of this knowledge. But perhaps most importantly, the world of early man was flat, at least as far as he could see. As far as he could see is the key concept here. Because the amount of curvature you see while standing on a curved surface is related to the distance you are above that surface in relationship to the radius of that curve. So if your radius is 4,000 miles and your height is 10 feet, you have almost no hope whatsoever of seeing any curvature from left to right. And early man was well before the time that he had the insight to look at the curvature going away from you. In fact, it's only been recently possible for humans to get high enough above the surface of the Earth, on the order of 35,000 feet or more, before they would even begin to see left to right curvature with their naked eye. Not only was this not possible for early man, it wasn't necessary. There was really no evolutionary advantage for him to be able to detect the shape of the Earth. He simply lived on it, as his hunter-gatherer society simply tried to survive. The next leap forward for man was the onset of agriculture. As man began to learn to plant and harvest food, he could develop villages and societies. This led to the next key development in human science, and that is the study of astronomy. Early observatories were built to find the exact time of the spring and the fall equinox to help guide planting and harvesting of crops, and for religious reasons. Calendars were developed originally based on the phases of the moon. But even with this new awareness of nature, to the point that they were building things to help understand it a little bit better, the Earth was still flat to them. Perhaps they had an early sense of curvature of the surface of the Earth. Perhaps they had a sense of being able to see smoke on the horizon, and if you walked far enough towards the smoke, eventually you would see the fire causing it. But if you were further away, you could no longer see that fire. But who knows, it perhaps wasn't all that important to them until the next stage of human development, and that is seafaring. And it's with seafaring and navigation we first began to get hints of the shape of the Earth. And that will be the subject of our next video. This is Bob the Science Guy. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you again soon. Take care.